a bit of a newer player to competitive, and if you put him on these hard-to-play champions, which he hasn't even practiced that much, there's going to be so much pressure on him to perform because he has to hit those hooks. He has to go in. I want to see him on those enchanters, right? Like provide support for his team and allow his team to carry the game.
Well, Team Queso have not locked down a support yet, but they need an answer into the Camille. Whether this is Camille in the Baron lane for Kai or for Rush in the jungle, it is uncertain.
Rush is so good at that Camille. He plays it very, very often in the jungle, and it's a very, very scary threat to deal with. And now the Lee Sin is banned away as well, so you don't have that counter to the Camille. And Team Queso answers with some power picks, right? It's the Jace, it's the Corki. These are pretty much all-round picks that always work.
This is good double poke, especially when you're setting up for siege situations as well as objective setups. If you can poke off Sengoku before they get to the objective, you give yourselves a health advantage.
But you're not getting a tank in the Baron lane right now because this is very likely going to be a Jace in the Baron lane. Never seen Andres play Jace in the jungle. Although this is a Ziggs. I don't like this Ziggs, Rafa, because you're dealing against this poking composition of Team Queso. I believe Ziggs is going to get outpoked and he's going to have a really hard time to do his job during team fights.
Being able to step up will be difficult slightly for Ziggs in the situation, but it's not about the safety of the Ziggs here, Hells. He's going to be a screen away. He's throwing a Mega Inferno Bomb so that the Kazakhs for Rush can clean up.
And another champion that works very well into the Ziggs is the Gragas. Like, first of all, Team Queso wants to deny Gragas from Sengoku, and then secondly, Gragas is really, really good against the Ziggs. Gragas is also good against the Camille to push her out of her ultimate. So I would say that Team Queso needs to pick the Gragas here, because if they don't, it gets banned away. But this is a Riven, and this is a Riven jungle. This is what we want to see on Andres. These are the types of champions we want to see him play with. These are the types of champions he just absolutely 1v9s with.
Riven has such amazing carry potential. The floor is a little high, but the ceiling is even higher. And if you can perform on this champion, you can truly take over a game.
And Andres is hanging on that ceiling. He's hanging on that ceiling. He's gonna play the champion the best way possible. So Team Queso bans out the Gragas themselves. Again, I would have loved to see them pick up that Gragas as it's such a good pick, but yeah, they have to ban it away. You don't want to be dealing with a Gragas Kazakhs combo. It's like an historical combo that no one wants to deal with.
Displacement sends people astray and they're isolated. Boom,
they're
boom,
all
boom.
dying.
It's a Kazakhs fantasy right there.
Definitely, and that's a singed ban from Sengoku. Very, very good, because Vegos loves that singed, and singed would do very, very well into the Camille and the Kazakhs as well. Sengoku knowing what to ban. It's really good to see that Sengoku has done their homework against Team Queso, and they know what to ban. That is an Alistar ban, however. That is a target ban to Uki. No one bans Alistar.
Usually you take it away when you are so concerned about wombo combos being set up, or when you are trying to take away tools that would deny your team from being able to engage.
Definitely. So it seems like Team Queso... So Team Queso is either afraid of Uki or they want to engage. And it actually seems like they do want to engage because they have that Riven. So they want to just take away the Alistar, which is a really, really good anti-engaging champion as well. And a good engaging champion himself too. So yeah, very, very good ban from them. And Rakan is the response.
Yeah, Sengoku reading that, hey, these guys are ready to fully press on the accelerator. We're going to take away one of those guaranteed engage tools.
And now don't pick Thresh. There it is. Oh, there it is. This is what I want to see.
Guys,
the Lulu.
I wish I could show you the camera, but literally, Hells did like a 360 twirl, dude. He just spun out of excitement. It sent him wheeling.
This is it, Rafa. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to put Methanol on the Thresh. You want to put him on the Lulu. You want to put him on the Yubi. He needs to enable his teammates. Like, as I said, this is a very young player. He's gonna have a lot of pressure. Put him on that Lulu. And that's a Zed. Zed is not a good response to the Lulu, because whenever you use your ultimate on someone, Lulu is gonna knock you right back up. And I don't like this Zed pick from Sengoku right now.
So Sengoku are going to the double assassin comp here, Hells, and they are attempting to overload them with assassination damage.
And you know what the interesting thing is? Because Sengoku is a Japanese team, and every single Japanese team, every single game they played during the Icons has been late game games. They play towards that late game, and Team Queso is responding to that. Because if you reach the late game with that composition, even though Jace is not as strong, Riven and Lulu are super powerful. And I assume Team Queso is going to pick yet another pretty strong late game champion just to allow them to outskill Sengoku in this game.
Team Queso, 5 seconds on the clock. You saw the Galio as a response from Sengoku. What is the champion that ties everything together?
Ooh.
And so the Renekton coming in for Acolyte will be used to keep Kai down during the early laning phase and giving methods for Team Queso to snowball.
So that's not the late game champion that I was thinking about. So it actually seems like Team Queso wants to ramp up their game and destroy Sengoku during the early game. They have that Corki as well, which is going to be very good during those objectives. So it's going to be all up to Team Queso to direct this game and to win through the early game and just outskill Sengoku.
Yeah, so much late game damage from the Ziggs that will come online the further the game scales up. Zed becomes a champion that, with the death mark cooldown becoming shorter and shorter, yes, even if you don't get them on the first try, you just wait 20 seconds and then boom, death mark.
We can still win this, and we're heading into game right now.
And 219 days ago, Hells, this matchup, Sengoku and Team Queso, happened just like this one in the Horizon Cup, where it was an elimination match. Team Queso got cleaned out 2-0 by Sengoku.
And it was not even close, right? It was not even close. Sengoku absolutely destroyed Team Queso, but this is a new Team Queso, and it's a bit of a new, not as new Sengoku, because they got a lot of the same players, but yeah, they're playing up against each other right now, and we're finally in game.
Sengoku are looking to repeat history, whereas Team Queso are looking to change history. They are looking to change their story, and this time be the ones victorious.
Show the world what EU is made of, I guess, right? Like, at least beat out the Japanese region. Oh, Team Queso can't do it, Rafa. I'm telling you, Team Queso can't do it. They just have to be in their game. Like, the first series, they were not in their game. But we'll see, we'll see. I'm not sure what's happening this series, but looking at the players before this game, it felt like they were in the zone, right? Like, when you go on stage, you have to be in the zone. You have to be in the game, and all your mind has to be focused in the game. So while we're talking, both junglers are taking a bit of a passive approach. They're doing a full jungle clear. It seems like no crazy aggression as of yet, but Andres is moving towards the mid lane.
Well, if they're going to be passive, I want to talk about Hawk and Rush, because these are two long-time, not just Wild Rift players, mobile esports players coming from Korea. They came over to Japan, and they have been some of the premier players in the WJC, and they have helped lead Sengoku to victory many times, not only in their region, but also getting international wins on the big stage.
Yeah, definitely. They're also content creators, by the way, for the people that don't know. They both make amazing YouTube videos on YouTube, and you can see how good they are, right? Like, they play everything, and then in competitive, they focus on one role as well. It's just phenomenal to see that content creators can make it to a big stage as the #1 seed from Japan as well.
Are you saying that that's going to be your goal next year, Hel?
Well, I'm a caster right now. I'll be a pro player next year.
Hey, clip that!
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Hey, production, you got that clipped, right? We're saving it for next year now.
No, I'm joking.
I'm going to hold you to your word now, Hel.
No, it's incredibly hard to do, because as a content creator, you have to spend so much time creating content, playing a lot of different champions, especially Hawk. He plays everything on YouTube. He makes videos on everything. But then he also has to specialize on that mid lane, and the fact that he is the best mid laner in Japan right now, like, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. It really shows that their experience is paying off.
Hawk and Rush, man. And Rush in a similar position as well.
Yeah.
Also does his own YouTube videos as well. But then for Sengoku, these are the two primary leaders. And one of the questions we had, their old support for Sengoku, Dejawu, not being on the roster, had questions about whether Sengoku were going to be able to function as same and as dominantly as they did during the Horizon Cup. So far, Sengoku, they are in the elimination round. They are in the lower bracket, but against Team Queso, we're going to see if they can live up to maintaining that win streak against Team Queso.
So looking at this game, we're 3 minutes in, you know, no one has done anything. Team Queso is behind a little bit of gold. Again, when you have that Jace, when you have the Renekton, this is not what you're looking for. When you choose to pick a Renekton as your last pick, you're choosing to go aggressive. So Acolyte needs to try to make more plays, needs to try to make more ganks happen with Methanol, with Andres, but right now, nothing is happening, Rafa.
We're already past level 5 for both of these solo laners. Acolyte, having not seemed to have really established a huge lead against Kai, and Andres not syncing up with any of the solo laners to look for any aggressive plays.
So we saw it coming from Sengoku, where they wouldn't really do any ganks, where they would try to go into the late game. But I didn't really see it coming from Team Queso, because I want Team Queso to make the plays. But yet again, you can see Acolyte is just not going all in. He's not confident enough in himself right now. Even though he's winning the matchup against Kai, like, he needs to make it happen now. If Camille reaches level 13, she's completely outscaling you.
She'll have access to that Divine Sunderer. You get the extra
True
max
damage.
health, true damage on top of it as well with the Sheen power proc. It's just so difficult. Team Queso making their first move as a team, securing the Scuttle Crab once again on the top side of the map. We are 40 seconds away from the first two objectives.
So that's a Hull Breaker Z, and I assume, yeah, there it is, a Hull Breaker Jace as well. It's going to be Hawk against Vegos. Both of them are going to be split pushing the game. We see this happen a lot, but now it's actually Sengoku making the move.
Camille, Hextech Ultimatum, so damn simple to make happen.
Oh.
And Acolyte, even with the flash away, it is Rush on the board for first blood.
There it is. It should have been the opposite side. It should have been Team Queso with that gank. Rush coming in with a really, really important gank right there, using his flash, securing that kill, and Sengoku is not going to go for the dragon, I assume, right? Or they're not going to fight for the objective, because Team Queso has that Corki package, so Sengoku is going to try to look to shake hands during those objectives, and it seems like, indeed, they're putting their eyes on the Rift Herald right now. But Queso's not letting it happen.
Sengoku, can they clean this one out without any response from Team Queso? Doesn't look like that's the case.
And I love that Team Queso is not shaking hands, Rafa. I love that Team Queso wants to take the fight. Again, they're wanting to take the fight, but they're not doing it. Go in. The Corki package is running out. You have to take the fight right now. This is the moment where Team Queso has to do it. But again, they're playing it so passively. They're wasting so much time. And Joey is going to lose his package. He lost his package.
Sengoku just playing with great patience. And as soon as Team Queso show any aggressive movements forward, they take a step back and say, hey, he can't have the package forever, just wait it out, and then Team Queso can't find a way to pull a trigger.
And now Team Queso, it's going to be so hard for Team Queso to go in because they don't have the package anymore.
Okay, but Andres flashing forward for the knockup. 4-man knockup from the Lulu. Wild Growth. Andres goes down, and Sengoku now have the ability to respond. They clean out Methonaut. Joey is left alone, but Rush does not have enough health as Acolyte comes in for reinforcements.
And that's the Rift Herald going over to Joey's Kex. He secured it. Team Queso took that Rift Herald, which is very likely going to be resulting into a mid-lane turret for Team Queso. No turret has been taken yet, so this is a very, very important objective, as it's going to get Joey's Kex super ahead. And as we look into this replay right here, Andres set with a very good engage. Methonaut following up with a very, very good Lulu ultimate, which allowed Team Queso to steal that Rift Herald, which allowed Team Queso to get ahead in this fight, and which allowed Team Queso to finally make that play that they had to make.
And considering the fact that Team Queso were outnumbered there before Acolyte got in to clean up the fight, if all four of them had been able to match in the 4-on-4, it could have been so much damage dealt. So Sengoku, very, very grateful that it wasn't all the 4 members of Team Queso.
So Andres is giving up this dragon, but he's looking for a gank right there in response.
Wants to snowball Vejos. Kai forced to use Hextech Ultimatum under the tower. He's able to outplay it and gets out alive.
Nothing from Team Queso, and they're not going to be able to kill Kai under this turret right now, as he's a full HP Camille. I mean, he can probably even 1v2 them under the turret at this point. Joey's Kex.
We've seen it happen.
We've seen it happen. Oh, I remember the play you're talking about, actually.
I don't think it was specifically Kai, but we have definitely seen Baron laners on the Camille outplay members in the 2 or in the 1v2 specifically.
Definitely. And Joey's Kex put the Rift Tower in mid lane, not necessarily getting that mid lane turret, which I feel was a bit of a loss for Team Queso because they should have gotten a turret. Like, there were multiple other moments of chances that Joey could have taken because the Rift Tower timer was not running out yet. He could have waited a little bit and tried to take that mid lane turret instead of just tickling it.
They got quite a number of plates on the mid lane, but not taking out completely means that first brick is still up for grabs for anyone. And I imagine the Sengoku now coming into their own. First item spikes on a majority of the members here means that they can be ready to strike.
Definitely. And Team Queso is also sitting on a lot of items. It's the Ardent Sensor on the Lulu, so she's going to be buffing Andres, she's going to be buffing Joey Skaggs, she's going to be buffing her entire team in those team fights, but the question is it enough? We saw Andres engage earlier on into 4 people. He did get chunked down, but then because of that Lulu ultimate, he was able to survive. So there is potential for Team Queso to win team fights like that, but there's also potential for Sengoku to just one-shot anyone in a team fight.
And the cool thing that Andres is doing with this build is by rushing Divine Sunder, he's getting pseudo durability from the sustain that you get from the empowered Shiananos, and you have so many ways to proc it with all of her abilities. So Andres is just trying to be almost a pseudo engage and just buying as much time as he can on a champion that you wouldn't suspect to be a tank or frontline.
Yeah, definitely. This is Vegos dealing with the gank.
Oh, Hawk tanking as much as he can combined with Rush, but Vejos survives it! Team Queso turn around the dive.
And that's the power of the Hull Breaker. Vegos was able to survive because of that Hull Breaker.
He didn't even burn barrier.
He didn't even burn his barrier. He just survived with the Hull Breaker.
Dude, he wasn't even worried.
Ooh.
I thought Vejos was blinking, and now Team Queso have an option to collapse on the bottom side of the map, but it is instantly reacted by Kai. Hextech ultimatum onto Andres, forcing him to flash over the wall. It gets Kai's flash back to the turret as well.
And that's 4 people from Team Queso looking for aggression in the bot side, but Sengoku is not allowing it. They have such great wave clear with that Galio, with that Ziggs, with the Zed. Sengoku is just really, really good against these turret dives because their wave clear just doesn't give any time to Team Queso. Like Team Queso had multiple occasions where there were 4 people on the bot side of the map trying to look for a gank, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, anytime a wave comes up to a Ziggs,
It's
boom.
just gone. Boom.
Full combo, it's gone.
Yeah, definitely. And yet again, now Team Queso got another Corki package, another Rift Herald has spawned. I want to see more aggression this time, Rafa. I want to see Team Queso go for it. I want to see Team Queso just use that package to their lead. No, don't wait it out. Just rush that Rift Herald. Either get the Rift Herald or take a fight.
Now, Team Queso have the means to at least step up forward and bait Sengoku in. Acolyte is on the bottom side of the map, making sure that Kai cannot join the reinforcements on the other side. Sengoku stalling out the Rift Herald so far.
Team Queso, go for it. Go for that Rift Herald. Fight. You only have 100 seconds on that Corki. Very interestingly, it's actually Rush that hits it first, but oh, Rush is looking for some blood.
Mayho's forced to burn the barrier, and this time Huck cleans him out with the Death Mark.
And yet again, Team Queso, what are you doing? Take that fight. Andres takes a fight, takes a lot of damage, and there, another free Corki package. What is happening, Rafa?
Sengoku just able to maneuver and out sidesteps the side of Team Queso here. And without the package threat, Sengoku seems like they could just start up this Rift Herald now.
Yeah, now they have the advantage. They have the team. There's 5 people from Sengoku right now, and unfortunately, Acolyte is waiting in his base, and 1 is just pushing everyone away, while Sengoku secures a free Rift Herald.
Sengoku Gaming. There's a couple moments. That first fight, after the first Rift Herald, Team Queso seemed like they were able to answer back. Acolyte doing everything that he can to defend this turret under the tower, but the stasis already used means he has to flash away from danger. Rush trying to track him down. This Crocodile gets out alive.
And meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, Anders trying to hurt Kai, but Kai showing you how to defend the turret. Showing everyone. Yet again, there's 3 people. Let's see if Team Queso can do it.
Kai has Exec Ultimatum. Watch how he uses it to dodge damage. Already lost onto the turret. Kai, not even concerned.
1 versus 4, and Kai does not die. And if you look at the opposite side, Acolyte in a 1 versus 3 got absolutely blasted. This is really showing how good the draft apparently is from Sengoku, because that Camille was not dying in the lane. Meanwhile, Acolyte on the Renekton, unfortunately not really able to do much. And here, this is what you want to do with the Rift Herald. Sengoku secures the mid lane turret, as opposed to Team Queso, who had that Rift Herald on Joey Skaggs, were not able to get that mid lane turret.
Team Queso didn't have the setup necessary prior to knock it out in one fell swoop. They have position over the dragon. No package available though means that, or package available, means that Team Queso are gonna have to see if they can bait Sengoku in.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a proper 5 versus 5, but yet again, it currently feels like Sengoku just has the upper hand, and Rush is indeed rushing this dragon right now. He wants to make sure he applies the pressure on Team Queso. This is what Queso is missing.
Flash from Andres tries to secure the dragon. Wild Growth already gets a knockup, but the dragon's already been secured from Sengoku, and how well can they clean up? That is the answer and the response that Team Queso need to find. Bombs has already been used. The burst damage is through, but Andres finding second win. He's got the cooldowns. He's tracking down the Ziggs. Exhaust has been used. He's slowed down. There's a turret there. Team Queso can't find any more. They lost out on Acolyte, but they traded one back to Hawk.
That's another dragon going over to Sengoku Gaming, but that's like 3 or 4 kills going over to Team Queso. Good response by Team Queso. Great of them to survive with a low amount of HP, but that's another dragon going to Sengoku. And as we head into this replay, Andres just a tad bit too late to steal it away. We know he's famous for doing that, but he missed it this time. But the team fight was looking very, very good. Ziggs was doing so much damage, but he's not finishing anyone off, as you can see. And then it's just clean up time for Team Queso. Acolyte, however, boom! Got absolutely destroyed by Rush. So Rush still doing his thing as a Kha'Zix, but it looked promising for Team Queso, Rafa.
Team Queso able to withstand the burst damage, despite one putting out what seemed like a megaton.
5,500 damage during the team fight. That is the power that the Ziggs has. Just dealing so much damage. He didn't go for that late game approach. You see that? We keep talking about it. So many Ziggs and Orianna players go for the late game approach, but he didn't. And you can see it. Look at that damage.
Deathcap rushed, stalling out the Seraphs instead, but Hawk is on the forefront looking for the Death Mark play. Rush has found an isolated Vejos, picks up another one. The double assassins from Sengoku putting in work.
And even though Methanol actually went for a stasis enchant, and his ultimate and everything else, it was still not enough to survive that assassination from Huck during that team fight. Just Sengoku Gaming playing those assassins truly to their powers and asserting their dominance in this game right now.
They're taking out a bottom tower as well, giving less ground for Team Queso to stand on.
Yeah, and Andres unfortunately not able to get a lot of gold. This is not the Andres that we know. Seems like he's struggling a lot against these international junglers. You're playing up against Rush, who is the best jungler in Japan right now. It's just, you know, you can't win as easily as you do in Europe into those matchups. And as we look into the replay, we can see Rush just showing so much aggression. Just, you know, Vegas has no chance to survive. And then as well, Kai follows up. Like, this is the synergy you need to have between your team.
I'm pretty sure that when a Kha'Zix gets this fed in the early game, I mean, we've seen it in our solo queue games, and we've seen why when some of the best teams around the world are able to get their Kha'Zix super fed, you cannot be walking around in your jungle all by yourself, because you don't know if there's a void bug looming around the shadows.
You cannot be isolated when if a Kha'Zix is fed. Rush is sitting on a 4,000 gold lead against Andres.
4 items! What the heck?
I never thought I would ever say that against a jungler like Andres, but Rush is sitting on a, I'm gonna repeat, Rush is sitting on a 4,000 gold lead against Andres set. 4th item finished, and now that he has a Guardian Angel, it feels like he's gonna be unkillable during those team fights as well.
Yeah, you gotta get through stasis on top of it.
Stasis as well. All that damage, the Black Cleaver health, he's level 14 as well. He's gonna be running over Team Queso during those team fights. And the only way that I see Team Queso kill off Rush on that Kha'Zix is honestly gonna be Joey Skaggs on that Corki.
Storm Razor Infinity Edge completed. He's got a decent amount of crit damage in those auto attacks. But it's gonna take more than just firing auto after auto. You're gonna need to entice Sengoku to let Rush be sitting all by himself, and obviously that's not gonna happen. You're gonna need lockdown from Team Queso.
And Sengoku is going for another gank right here.
Nice stasis, canceling out the Hextech Ultimatum. Veiko scanning out alive with the flash. And you have Acolyte putting in work on the other side of the map, being able to at least trade a turret, because they know they can't defend this one for long.
And honestly, that's what Team Queso has to do. Defend their own base and try to get something on the opposite side of the map. So indeed, Acolyte getting that turret was a very, very important thing for him to do. And yeah, they just need to try to get back into this game. But the problem is, Sengoku is known to get into the late game, right? Like, this is a team who exactly plays like this. They get into the late game, and they're not going to lose anymore, Rafa.
Sengoku with a 5,000 gold lead. Borderline 6,000. There's a Baron alive at the ready. So many turrets have been taken away from Team Queso, which means that the range of which they can safely overextend is starting to shrink.
There he goes again. Rush is just looking for blood again. He's sitting on nearly 16,000 gold, which is probably going to be his 5th item very, very soon as well. And then also looking at 1 on that Ziggs, sitting on 3.5 items, and those are big, big items that he has. He's going to be dashing out so much damage. And then also Sengoku, they have the tanks. They have Uki on that Galio this time. He's going to be going in, and I just don't see how Team Queso can take care of it.
Well, Hells, it's Elder Dragon time in the next 8 seconds.
We know what can happen. We know what can happen with Team Queso and Elder Dragons, Rafa. I want you to say it for me.
Andres, I saw the 2 Elder Barons, Elder Steals in your grand finals over in the WMEA. So if you can make it happen, it's got to be now.
And exactly this situation happened as well, where they were losing the game and then just steal the Elder Dragon.
Sengoku, and I imagine they did their homework.
They did.
They're not just rushing the Elder so lightly. They are making sure that they're putting pressure on the other side of the map so that Hawk will at least force one member from Team Queso to respond.
Definitely. Oh, that was a
huge
good
engage. Package delaying as much time as possible stasises from multiple Team Queso members, but Andres has already been eliminated. And if the jungler from Team Queso is gone, then it is an open field day for the rest of Sengoku to wipe out Team Queso.
Sengoku taking the game against Team Queso, showing them who's boss. That was probably the best package that Team Queso could have ever gotten. Vegas, Vegas was doing a good job in a 1v3, but that was probably the best package that Joey Skaggs could have ever gotten. And as Sengoku gets the Prime Gaming Ace, they're going to be finishing the game as well. And this is 1-0 for Japan right now. This is 1-0 for Sengoku against Team Queso.
Sengoku moved to match point in their elimination round. Team Queso 1 game away from being sent home.
Oh, Rafa, I'm not sure what to feel right now. That was an amazing performance by Sengoku, but that's one game away from Europe
It's
being knocked
confliction.
out.
It's the conflict within you. Like, man, I love good Wild Rift gameplay, which is what Sengoku demonstrated.
Riven, Renekton. So unfortunately, all of these coming together, I don't think they had that big enabler. I felt like they needed like a set or something, like a big wombo combo to enable all of those damage.
If we're looking bright side, TJ, I know you have a point there, but look at the gold graph. I mean, it was relatively even up until a certain point. So if you're trying to look for silver linings for Team Queso, there were still moments where maybe they could have found some different plays to get them back in.
Yeah, each of those dips is one of the early game team fights where Team Queso did quite well. And I think more experienced team on this stage, Sengoku made some roster swaps recently, don't look fully back up to form. I think a more comfortable team looks at what's happening, goes, oh, Team Queso are winning early game team fights, let's just not take those team fights.
Sure.
Sengoku didn't quite have the map play to deny them that, and so we got a ton of early fights where Team Queso actually performed quite well. But the other thing is, whenever you're like, oh, this game's pretty even, you have to be looking at what happens in the late game. Well, Galio's really scaring and very difficult to kill. Camille comes online, Ziggs comes online, and Zed comes online with massive damage. So Sengoku, when the game is like pretty early during the initial phases, are actually doing all right. Especially into a competition with Team Queso, you might be like, oh, but TJ,